Let's find out a little more about creating a swatch table in Flexi. I'd like to spend the next few minutes just showing you a little bit more about the swatch table. That's the color swatch down here on the bottom. Everyone should have a default one, as you can see down here. These are typically just RGB colors and a few patterns and gradients. You can right-click on that swatch table and you get all of the options for a swatch table. You can sort it, you can show certain things like just the colors and no patterns and so forth. You can even do things like opening up new tables, and there's one at the very top called color specs. Now I want to talk about this one. I'm not going to pick it from my menu. Instead, I'm just going to double click on a color down here. Watch what happens. It brings up that color specs menu. So you can double click on a color to get more information about the color and some information about it. So this particular blue, for instance, is an RGB blue. It's just made up of RGB, and it shows you over here the way that color is made. That's true of any of those colors down there. It also says that it's using color management on that blue to print it. So sometimes that means that, in fact all the time, it means that it's going to go through the ICC profile for your printer, and the color you see on your monitor is not going to match exactly the color that you see on your printer. Well, there's ways around that, and that's another lesson, but we're going to talk about swatch tables right now, so I'm going to click OK on that. Okay. In addition, you'll see some of these swatches down here with a little spot on them or a little dot. I have one that I've opened up that's actually a Pantone color, and I'm going to double click on that one. And in this case, you'll see that's identified as a spot color. So that's a spot color. That means that it's actually a formula developed by Pantone. And you notice that color management is turned off over here because it's using the Pantone formula to try to print that spot color. In this color specs menu, you also see library. So this is actually showing you on the left-hand side here the same swatch as you see on the bottom right here. And this is where you can actually add or remove colors if you want to. On the right-hand side, you'll see vendor, and you'll see the names of vinyl manufacturers, printer manufacturers, ribbons like for the Suma DC3 or the Gerber Edge and so forth. There's all kinds of different ones in here, even Pantone colors. So if I were to click on Pantone, you'd see all the Pantone libraries here, and then the type, it gives you all the libraries. And in the latest version, we even have the Pantone Plus libraries in here. So if I wanted to look at the Pantone, solid coated, I would do this, and this would give me all my Pantone colors on here. And this is actually the menu where I got this one spot color that I want to talk about. That we're going to kind of just show you how all this happens and how to make a swatch and so forth. It's really pretty easy to deal with, right? So you can actually add to your swatch table down here. If you want to, you can add any of these colors to the original swatch table. Well, I'm going to make a suggestion here. What I would say to do is just right-click down here and choose New Table, and that's going to give you a blank swatch table. Now you can choose some of the colors you have from the RGB if that's what you want. If you know you're getting good blacks, for instance, just drag and drop that black down here and it'll put a copy down there for you. So that's an RGB black. Same thing with your other colors in here. If you wanted this Pantone color, you could drag and drop that onto your swatch table down here, and it'll also show up down here. Now the other thing you can do is right click in here if you wish, and then click on color specs again. And then what you want to do is switch to that new table. Now we haven't saved it yet, so it's just called swatch table new table 1. And there's my two colors. Reason I say this is, again, you can go to your library here. You can choose anything you want. So if I'm using 3M vinyl and I know I'm going to use their cardinal red, I might add that to my swatch table. If I'm using a Orcal or a Corel table, or if I'm using let's go down here to Roland, okay? I'm using a Roland printer, and I know I'm going to print using their color system library, and I know I get good colors with that. Well, you can open up just the color system library if you want directly, or if you're using just a few colors from that, let's just say you're using, I don't know, we'll just choose a random color here, something in this middle area here. Let's say you're using this color. Add that to your swatch table. And then, of course, again, all the other types of color charts and so forth are in here, including Pantone, different kinds of vinyl manufacturers. Again, what you're looking at here is these are all the different part numbers, basically, for that particular vinyl manufacturer. Just add it in there. And what you're doing is you're making a custom color swatch down here. When you make this custom swatch, a good idea is to right-click on it and then save that table and give it a name. And you can see you can give it any name you want. It's up to you, and it's going to save it in the swatch and the table directory over here. So let's name this. I'm just going to say this. We're going to just call this test, okay? Just to, I know it's not original, but but we're going to save it just like that. Okay, so now that's my new swatch table down here, okay? So I'm going to close that. All right, then when I want to use it, I'm going to click right mouse button, open table, and what's going to happen is you're going to have two tables. You're going to have library, and that's the one that has all the different swatches that we were using in color specs, and you're going to have table, and these are your custom tables, and there's my test one. So I'm going to choose test, and there's my swatch table. All right, let's close that one up. So you can mix and match and make your own swatch tables. Another thing that you can do is you can open up any vector file, and this is really a great way to do this. If you open up, like, let's just say here's an Illustrator file, and I'm going to open this up in Flexi, and it's a vector format file. It's got a lot of overlapping lines and so forth. That's not what I'm really interested in. Once this file opens, what I want to do is create a palette from it for this particular customer. See, that's all vectors. I'm just turning on and off the fill right here. I'm going to click the right mouse button on my swatch table, choose new table, and then I'm going to right click on the new table. This is the blank one down here, and I'm going to say merge from document. And what that's going to do is take all the colors in that Take 5 vector format there and make a swatch table from it. So now I could actually save this swatch table if I wanted to, and maybe name it Take 5, right? And that's the swatch table for that particular customer. It's very, very important. And again, all these colors that are in here, here's a red that's in here. I can double click on that, and it's going to show me that's a CMYK red. You know, this is how it was. These are the magenta and yellow values. So this is a nice red, not 100%, and it's going to go through my profile for my printer and so forth. So again, it's a great way to create a swatch table. You can also take any color. I'm going to take this red color right here, right? This is just normal red, and I'm going to choose Find. And again, I'm going to uncheck my swatch table, and you can find colors in all of these swatch tables as well. So for instance, if I go into my my Orcal table, for instance, and I'm going to say find this RGB red in Orcal vinyl. So hit search, and what it's going to do is go through all the Orcal medias in here, every single media, and it's defining the colors that are close to the red that you've got, and this delta E actually shows you how close you are. 0 would be a perfect match. Less than 10 would be excellent match, and then a little bit greater than 10, you're going to have a shade change, and you can actually see that change over here. Let's do the same thing, but this time let's go to our Pantone colors, and instead of searching every single Pantone library, let me go up to my Pantones here. Pantone library, let's just search the solid coated, okay? I'm going to click right on solid coated and say search. Again, here's your solid coated reds, and you see 485 is there, 175 is there, or 1795. Those are all reds in Pantone. Or if you wanted to, you could even search the Pantone process coated, which is kind of a, it's really not a straight spot color, but it's a process color. And again, here's a perfect match. And again, you can see 0 is perfect, and then there's these other indications of colors in here. All these are close matches. So it's really a cool thing. The biggest thing to remember is to right click, of course. That was a previous lesson. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. Take a right click on there, and then try to work your way through this menu right here. It's very, very cool to be able to make your own swatch tables. Guess what? It's just that easy with Flexi.